These are the development indicators that I have listed here. Normally, development and growth of any economy, it is understood through various indicators. Initially,
ma'am.
very old one is the economic indicator. All of us know that economic indicators are per capita income, GDP, and then of course the purchasing power parity and so on. And of course, after a while, that was not enough. As Alfred Marshall has come out with, we know that wealth is not everything. Right? What use is of the wealth if it doesn't?
We need welfare also.
Yeah, we need welfare also. So that's why the quality of the human beings is considered. For the well-being of the population, various activities are undertaken by the government to build up the quality of the human resource. So that's how literacy, and then the infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, the health of the population, all these things are to be considered. So human development indicator became the next major indicator along with the economic indicator. So GDP and per capita income, of course, that's there. Along with that, the human development index also came up as a developmental study. Right? Then demographic indicators, which tells more about the population, the birth rate, death rate, population growth rate, all this we will be doing in lesson 1 and 2, and even a little bit in the last lesson in economic development, isn't it? So how the population condition of the population will be an indicator of development and growth. So that is what is done under demographic indicator. Then ease of doing business, human poverty index, sustainable development, so many are there. I think we don't cover ease of doing business and human poverty index. What we sort of cover in our curriculum is a sustainable development and the liberty indicator. Sustainable development strategy and how with less of pollution we provide for the future generation, how by conserving some of the non-renewable resources we ensure resources are available for the future. All that makes up the sustainable development indicator. Then liberty indicators, freedom to choose a political party, freedom of expression, and all those, they come under the liberty indicator. So all these indicators ultimately, they show the ranking of a particular country. If you take up India from the beginning, right from the beginning, there's always, has been in the limelight. Before independence also, it became a colony because we had such a prosperous economy. And then, of course, in between, we were there under the colonial rule. And after that, slowly the development path started. So this is where we are. If you take up the position of India in the world economy, right? So look at this. India is somewhere here. This entire blue shade, you see the Asian countries occupying the blue shade. So 3.28% of our GDP, right, is the part of the world GDP. So the first among that is the US, and then you have China and so on. So that's where we are. So going by this GDP statistics, we definitely are a large economy and a growing economy. And of course, we are also highly populous. What we are trying to improve upon is the quality of the human resource. Right? So all these things, if we are going to tell the children, right, in a very small way, before we begin with all the theories, right? We definitely do sustainable development theory, we do national income accounting theory, and then the human capital formation, all that is there. So before we start with these chapters, if we are going to give them a highlight of all these development indicators, and then move on to where India stands, why we should, find out the ranking and position of India and so on, it would create some sort of basic interest among them. Then we can go back and say, okay, fine. Even now, the economic indicator is one of the major indicators. Per capita and the GDP income of the country matters a lot. How big an economy, how influential an economy, how powerful an economy. All these details you will get to know through the indicators, right? So HDI, I thought I would just, highlight the recent one. India occupies the 131st position out of 189 countries. And in case of sustainable development, India stands 120 out of 165, right? Most of these are statistics taken from the World Development Report and so on. Again, that's another thing we should tell the children. Nowadays, they all have these gadgets in their hand. So they Google up and they find out something. Maybe we should tell them how to check the source of the data. They'll have, when they are checking all these statistics and tables, that's the first thing probably in class 11 we should tell them. Check from where you take the data. Right? The relevant source will be a very important thing.
Yes.
The authenticity of the data, it will be maintained only if a proper institution is going to carry out the research and publish the data, isn't it? So all that also can be interlinked and told to them. Sustainable development, initially, surprisingly, the 121 countries that were taken up for the study and India stood last, right? But now the number of countries have increased and India has this 120th position. In ease of doing business, again, out of 190 countries, India ranks 63rd. And in the World Happiness Report, they say that India ranks 144. And among these countries, probably they should even know which is a country which is really doing well. And where is India? So which are the top 10 countries and so on. You can even give them as a project topic. All this, they can take it up as a project topic and they can try to link it up with what they are doing already. Has somebody done it? Has somebody already taken it as a project topic in your school? Sustainable development. No?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I think Rosalina ma'am has joined back. Right. Initially, I think we lost you for a small time, isn't it, ma'am? Right.
Yes,
I was just trying to. Okay. I was just trying to tell about the development indicators, and I'm showing the ranking that India has as per these indicators. Okay. Then, so with that small bit of information about the indicators, then slowly we can introduce the concept of national income accounting. There again, in many city schools, I've understood that the teachers, they start with the sums first. Because I finished all the sums. I finished all the sums. Right? So, but somehow I do not agree with that kind of teaching. The children should understand the theory first, the theoretical background. They should have a good idea of the theory, and then they will be able to apply that in the sums. So always start with the theory. That's how I think it's given in the textbooks also. But somehow even the experienced teachers, some of them, they start doing, they give the formula, then they do the sum, and okay, of what use is the formula if they don't know the components and the theory behind, isn't it? So I always start with a little bit of introduction and then the theory, proper theory, and then at last we would move on to the sums. So that's how they do it. That's how my children do it. So why national income accounting? Yeah. So if the children ask why national income accounting, ma'am, then probably we should be able to tell them to gauge the economic performance of an economy. So basically, what do we have? We have the income method, expenditure method, and also the product method. So the idea is to evaluate the value of all the products and services through these three methods. Whatever be the method, we are trying to evaluate the value of products and services of the final products. So that would actually give them a good indication of the level of economic activity, right? So the five basic economic activities that we teach them as they enter into class 11 is consumption, production, capital formation, finance, exchange, these five, isn't it? So probably we can get just in a line, tell them, see, you will understand how much of consumption, how much of production is happening, how much of capital formation is happening through the national income accounting theory. right? So the level of economic activity, the economic performance of the country, all these things become very, very apparent. The contribution of the different sectors towards the GDP, it's very important that they understand, because all of us know that agrarian economies, they are developing economies. A country like India, it's a primary exporter. It's an agrarian economy, right? Because most of the people find their livelihood in the primary sector, agricultural sector, right? Yeah, that's correct, right? So they should know. They should know that most of the value of the output will be from that particular sector. So they will understand while calculating the value added method. Okay, fine. So from the agricultural sector, maybe the GVA will be pretty high. So what will the government do? Why does the government collect all these statistics? Because statistics, all of us know, is very important for policy formulation, for forecasting, to understand the intensity of the economic problem, if an economic problem is there. We do have so many economic problems. As a developing nation, we have a lot of poverty, we have unemployment, we have low income, low savings, low investment. So by measuring the national income, probably the country will not only be able to understand the position in the world economy, but also will be able to make its own economic planning. Right now, this is where we are. So this is where we want to reach. So to reach out there, how much of resource needs to be set aside, and how do we reach out there? So it facilitates economic planning. Then it helps in comparing nations, as I've been already telling you and showing you. So we just saw that among the Asian counterparts, India's position is a pretty valuable one. Next only to China and Japan. Next only to China and Japan, we stand third among the Asian countries.
Yes.
Right? So all this, just like that, in 5 minutes we can tell them, then create interest among the students, then slowly we can move on to the actual theory. And little bit of extra input about who created this modern method that most of us are making use of right now. The modern method as such was created by Sir Richard Stone. And this person is regarded as a father of national income accounting. And basically, he studied law at the University of Cambridge. Of course, all of us know that we are following right from the administrative setup to that of the law. We take it after the Europeans, specifically the UK. So naturally, even this system, we have taken it from them. Later on, of course, macroeconomics as it was born after John Maynard Keynes introduced the system. John Maynard Keynes decided to influence Richard Stone, and Richard Stone decided to study economics. Yeah. Coming on to the Indian scenario, here again we can do a wonderful linking. In Indian economic development, the first 2 lessons we teach them that Dadabhai Naoroji, Finlay Shiraj, B.K.R.V. Rao, all these people, they made individual attempts to study the national income.
National income.
Yeah. Then after independence, we had the Planning Commission. And Planning Commission, of course, at the head of P.C. Mahalanobis. Then, of course, Gadgil was there, and B.K.R.V. Rao, they were the members. The estimation started. The first one, it was estimated in the time period of 48. Then publication was made in 1951. So this, again, it can be given as a small back. Now, see, just 3 or 4 minutes it will take, isn't it? And we will be covering a huge unit after that. So having set the, platform for intense learning, then we can just move on to slowly introduce the concept of national income accounting. We can tell them about the circular flow. This is what I have. Those yellow boxes, you're able to find out what those yellow boxes are. Generation.
3 phases. 3 phases.
3 phases of circular flow. Absolutely. So slowly just connected to the 3 methods. Again, I'm talking about the 3rd lesson actually. Product method, income method, expenditure method. That's the last part, isn't it? But we can do the linking with the first lesson. First lesson is normally the circular flow. So if children ask you, why, ma'am, these 3 methods? then probably we should be able to tell them, see, it is right from the circular flow. You've already understood that only the circular flow items become part of the national income accounting. So products, they are generated, income is also generated, and it is the firm sector which is going to generate the products and the income. So after generating this income, they're going to distribute the income. So the product generation stage is the value added method or the product method, right? Then the income, the factor income that is generated by the firms is going to be distributed by the firms among the households. So we are going to evaluate the aggregate factor income. So it's always aggregate of the factor incomes, right? At the factory level, at the firm level, whatever income the firm is going to pay as factor income will make up this income, right? Then how the people, after receiving the income, they're going to dispose it off will be the expenditure method. So while they buy the products, they will buy it at the market price. So that's how we can come out with these three methods after the three phases of circular flow, right? Then one major problem with the children is that if they are trying to calculate the national income or the domestic income through the three different methods, the first thing that they go wrong is the aggregate. They don't know which aggregate they are supposed to arrive at, right? Now, if you take up the income method, right? If you take up the income method, then under the income method, right? Yeah, this is what I have. I thought I'll just come to this and then go back. Through the income method, if they are going
NDPFC.
to, yes, directly the NDPFC, because we'll have to tell them it is at the factory level. It is a factor cost, right? That is the factor cost that the firm is going to incur, and it is going to be the domestic firms, right? So it'll always be only the domestic product at factor cost. So NDPFC only. Yes. Whereas under the other two methods, product method and also the expenditure methods, it could be
GDPMP.
GDPMP. What is the reason again? Why is it GDPMP? We'll have to probably tell them it is at the market price that the products are going to be evaluated. It is going to be at the market price that the people are going to buy the products, right? When you and me as consumers, we go to the market, we are going to buy the products paying the market price, correct? So it has to be only the GDPMP, always the GDPMP. Then from there, slowly we can make all the adjustments and arrive at NDPFC or NNPFC. But they'll have to have this really into their head that through the income method, they will always arrive at only the NDPFC. And through the product method and the expenditure method, the GDPMP.
Yes,
right? A small difference out there is under the expenditure method, they'll have to be cautious with certain things.
Yes, the third entry.
Sorry?
The net domestic capital formation.
Exactly.
The third entry we should be careful.
Yes, the investment. So if they have the fixed capital formation or net fixed capital formation or gross fixed capital formation, accordingly, they will arrive at the aggregate. If it's net, then they will arrive at the NDPMP. So this is where they normally go wrong. So this, if we are going to tell them, then they'll never go wrong when they are going to do their sums. So 4 domestic aggregates are there, 4 national aggregates are there, gross, and then the net concepts. So out of this, if they ask you, why ma'am, there are 4 domestic aggregates, why is NDPFC alone called as a domestic income? Or we have 4 national aggregates, why is it that the NNPFC is only called as national income? What would we tell them? What would we tell them? Net is a concept that is very significant because it does not have depreciation. We have removed depreciation already, and it is a net concept. So that will give you the actual value addition that is made. right? They will understand the actual value addition made in the economy or the actual value addition that is made by the normal residents only if it is a net concept. Because depreciation is what? It is the reduction in the value of the fixed capital over a period of time. So if depreciation is also going to be added, then that will be misleading. We won't be accounting for that reduction in the value, isn't it? So that has to be removed. That has to be removed, and the actual value addition will be understood only with the net concept. So whether it is domestic income or whether it is national income, it is always a net concept, not a gross concept. Further, always it is at factor cost. It is not at market price. It is not at market price. Why is it only at factor cost? Why not at market price? Because market price, it has the indirect taxes.
Yes.
Right? It has indirect taxes. I'll tell them, okay, when you go to the market, when you take a product, right? Let's say you want to buy bread. Okay, you take out a packet of bread and then you're going to hold it. What will you check? They will say, ma'am, price. Yeah. So is it just price? They say, no, ma'am, MRP. What is that MRP? The maximum retail price. Fine. So that price, okay, further, what do you see? Inclusive of all taxes.
Yes,
right? So that's what they see there. Fine. So when they say inclusive of all taxes, they immediately know, okay, fine, there is a GST or there is some kind of indirect tax on that particular product there. So they get to know, okay, market price, it includes the indirect taxes, right? And then it does not reflect the correct value of the output.
Yes.
Market price does not give the correct value of the output because it includes that taxation. Taxation is a transfer that is going to be paid to the government. Fine. So to that extent, the value of the output is escalated because of this addition, the tax addition there. So if the children have to understand the correct domestic income or the national income, then it is only at factor cost and not at the market price.
Market price.
Now, what is the other concept? The other concept is that of the subsidy, right? The other concept is that of the subsidy, the net indirect taxes. It is the difference between indirect tax and the subsidy. Isn't it? What is this production subsidy? Production subsidy is nothing but the aid that is given, monetary support or aid that is given to the firms so that they enjoy a reduced cost. Right? So that is already part of the factor cost. That is already part of the factor cost. Right? So we'll have to tell them how market price is different from that of the factor cost and how market price does not reflect the correct value addition that is done within the domestic territory and also by the normal resident. That is why your domestic income, your national income is always a net concept and it is always at the factor cost and not at the market price, because market price, it is escalated by the extent of the indirect taxes and of course subsidy is not accounted for in that, right? So after introducing this, we can go on to further topics. What I thought I will touch upon the common problems that children face. Now, whether it's true or false, or whether give reasons, whether including a certain concept or not, they always have a big confusion. Ma'am, should I add this? Should I reduce this? Some children, till the end, they add up everything and they leave it. Some of them go to the extent of dividing something, multiplying. Those two signs are not even there, right? You have a plus and a minus, that's all. No multiplication, no division. Those two symbols are not even there in the national income accounting. I used to tell them that, right? So whether to add it or not, whether to treat it or not, some items need not be even treated, right? So how do we put that across to them? We can put that across to them only through a very, very, very strong theory. we'll have to reason out the theory.
Yes.
And we'll have to tell them what it is repeatedly, remind them repeatedly. Then while calculating, I will not tell them, oh, add, minus. I said, now come on. How come you've forgotten the theory? Now, what is this concept? This is domestic product. So how will you arrive at this? This is national product. How will you arrive at this? What is the difference between domestic product and national product? Come on, you tell me. Then they will say, ma'am, yeah, yes, I know, NFIA, domestic product plus NFIA. Okay, fine, NFIA. What is NFIA? Then they will say, ma'am, FIFA minus theta, right? So I will make them answer. So we will go back to the theory. Every time we will go back to the theory. So probably that will help them a lot, right? So now probably we'll move on to some of these concepts. Now, these are the concepts, basic concepts that are given wonderfully in Sandeep Gar as concepts that we should insist on. In the very beginning, they have this entire list: domestic territory, normal resident, factor income, transfer income. So we'll have to tell them. So yeah, see, look at this. This is what I was trying to tell. Only NDPFC, domestic income, right? It will consist of what? Only the factor income. We'll have to repeatedly tell them the domestic income and the national income. It will have only the factor income and no transfers. Never any transfer. None of the transfers will be treated. So to understand what is a transfer and what is a factor income, so that is where theory is going to help them. We can go back and tell them, see, factor income is an income which has both the flows, circular flow, both the physical flow and the real flow will be there. Whereas a transfer income, if you check it out, you have only the money flow. You have only the money flow, only unilateral transfer, isn't it? If you take up a tax, one-sided, right? If you take up a subsidy, again one-sided. If you take up a remittance, one-sided, right? So there's only a money transfer. It does not have both the flows. So
Yes,
both the flow, a money flow and a real flow should be there, right? Take up factor income for that case. Factor services are provided by the factors to the firm, and in return, the factor remuneration is enjoyed, isn't it? So both the flows are there. Both the real and the money flow, both the flows are there. So we'll have to tell them this immediately. Oh, this is a transfer. Is this a transfer? You think what is given, what is taken back? So if something is given and taken back, it becomes a factor income, right? Without just taking money, it becomes a transfer, isn't it? It's as simple as that. Give it to them as simple as that. Yeah. Then we'll have to repeatedly tell them it is only the value of the final goods that will be taken into account, whether it is domestic income or national income. Again, how do we explain this concept of why only final goods? Why is it only final goods?
We should not add the intermediate concepts because it will lead to double counting.
That's
To
it.
avoid double counting, we are adding only the final goods.
That's it. So double counting, again, we tell them there is an over estimation. Right? Many times if you are going to include the value of one particular item, what will happen? We will get a big fat national income. It's a super rich economy. Yes. So we'll have to tell them, no. Intermediate products, the value of intermediate products is already there in final products. Why would you add that again? Don't do that, because you will arrive at a big figure and overestimation of national income. So that should be avoided. So that's why we take into account only the final products and always only the net investment and not the gross investment. So it is actually this detail, net investment detail, which is going to give us the NDP and the NNP, right? Whether it is the NDP or the NNP, we get this NDP and NNP because, as I said, it's always a net concept. Yeah? Gross, it includes depreciation, but we do not want that depreciation because it indicates reduction in the value. So the actual value of the domestic product, the national product, is not known in the gross. So investment, it is always a net investment that is to be considered as part of domestic income and national income. So these are things that we keep insisting upon all the time.
Yes, sir.
right? Then this one, difference between factor cost and market price. Again, children have few other basic doubts. Like, again, most of these, they come under true or false also. Yeah, true or false. Which one is a bigger concept? They have this, yeah, this one probably one at a time, we will take it up. Can factor cost be higher than market price? Can factor cost be higher than market price? And they have this confusion. Factor cost, okay, it is at the firm level. Market price, okay, it is at the market. So no, they will say, no, ma'am, factor cost cannot be more than market price. It cannot be more than the market price. Then we'll have to shake our head and say, no, it can't be the case. Because you have forgotten the NIT there, right? NIT, what is NIT? NIT is nothing but the difference between
Indirect tax and subsidy.
yes, indirect tax and subsidy. So if the indirect tax is going to be more, if the indirect tax is going to be more than the subsidy, then of course the NIT is going to be positive.
More positive.
Right? Then if the indirect tax is going to be less than the subsidy, then the NIT will be
is negative.
Then if you move on to the next one, if both are the same, if the value of the indirect tax is going to be equal to that of the subsidy, then what happens? The NIT is going to be zero. Right? So very well, then the market price can be the same as factor cost, right? Or it can be more, it can be less. It depends upon this NIT. So once more, we get back to the theory. So when they do this calculation, instead of just telling them add this, minus this, or do this, do that, it will be better. This is what I do. Take them back to the theory and say, come on, recollect now. What about NIT? Can it be positive? Can it be negative? Can it be zero? Yeah. Yes, it can be, right? So accordingly, these values change.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then moving on to some reasons question. Yeah. So this is another major area where children go wrong. Yeah. They do not know how to treat the item, whether a particular item will be part of the domestic income or part of the national income, right? Whether it's included, whether it's excluded, whether it's treated. They have a big problem with this. Fine. So give them the meaning of domestic territory once more. Make that, there are quite a number of points that we teach them. These are all items which will be included, which will not be included, isn't it? So we will have to teach that again and basically raise a question where. If you want to find out whether a particular item is to be treated as part of the domestic income, then they should raise a question where. Where is the income generated? Where is income generated? If the income is generated within the domestic territory of a country, then it is very well part of the domestic income.
Yes.
Right? Now, let's look at this question number 1 under this. I have an example there on the slide. Income received by Japanese working in German embassy located in India.
Within India.
Yeah. It is located in India, but it is a German embassy, right? German embassy, any embassy, right? Let's say Indian embassy, wherever it is, it will belong to only India. Same way, German embassy, wherever it is, it will belong only to Germany. Yes. Indian military, wherever it is going to be, it will be only Indian military. Right? Indian military, let us say, is going to go to Afghanistan or to Iraq or Iran for some peacekeeping mission. Will it become Afghanistan military? No. It will be Indian military only, right? Yeah. Same way, Indian embassy, wherever it is going to be, it will still remain our embassy only, right? So, embassies, foreign consulates, and then military establishments of our country, they remain our domestic territory only. So this question, children should not look into who receives the income, and they should not look into, this confusion element is there. German embassy located in India. They should not immediately say, ma'am, it's located in India. But what is located in India? That is an additional thing they'll have to raise there. German embassy. So German embassy always belongs to Germany. Correct? So this will
Yes, ma'am.
not be part of Indian domestic income. Yeah, so that's an added thing. So what is it? It is not only where, but also we'll have to tell them what.
Yes, ma'am.
The textbooks always give us only where.
Yes,
Ma'am, you
ma'am.
only told, no ma'am, where. So it's in India, ma'am. That is why, ma'am. No, that's not the only thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Where and what. I always tell them where and what. Right? Not every time where alone will not give you the answer.
What also we want to include.
What
Yes,
also
ma'am.
we'll have to do. Right? What is
Yes.
located? What is located and where it is located? Probably that extra line will give them an idea. What? Indian military. Then where? Wherever it is, it's ours. Fine. So raise the question where and what together. That's what I tell my children normally. Right. Then number 2, profit received by Reliance India located in Australia. Again, people jump up, children jump up and say, ma'am, Reliance India, ma'am, Reliance India. Profit made by Reliance India. So domestic income. I would say no. Raise a question where? Where is this firm located? Where is this firm located?
Australia.
So this will be domestic income of Australia,
Yes.
not India. Right? Profit received by, see, what is idea? Idea is to find out where the income is generated. As long as the income is going to be generated within the domestic territory, it becomes domestic income. Same way, for the national income concept, they'll have to raise the question, who makes the income? Right? And initially, we would have definitely told them about the normal resident, who is a normal resident and who is a citizen, what is the difference between a citizen and a resident, and all these concepts, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So then we'll have to remind them of this, raise the question, who makes the income, who generates the income? If the income is generated by the normal resident, then that would make up the national income. No matter where, from wherever, this normal resident is going to raise the income. Right? Excellent examples we can give them. For a computer company, we have IT companies, so many of them are there, isn't it? Wipro, Infosys, let's say they have experts who go on short projects, right? They go and work in, say, the UK, right? Let's say Shyam is going to go to the UK for 5 months and he is going to offer his labor services there. Normally, Shyam is a normal resident of India, but then for a short while, for a period of less than a year, Shyam is going to go to the other country and provide the labor services. So naturally, because of this, Shyam has to receive factor income from rest of the world, isn't it? So factor income from rest of the world. So that's how Shyam's income will be indicated. So that income raised by Shyam will very much be part of the national income. As what component? As factor income from abroad. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Ram or Shyam should be from within the domestic territory. These people can be productive even outside the domestic territory, and they can bring in factor income. There again, what is the condition?
Yes.
The condition is they should qualify to be a normal resident of our country. normal resident of our country are all those individuals and institutions who normally reside in the country for a period of more than a year. And also the center of economic interest should lie in that specific country. Yeah. So when we say center of economic interest, then we should tell them, it's all the activities. It's all the activities. It's production, consumption, capital formation, everything they should be doing in that same country. Right? Because we do have exceptions. What about students? What about tourists? Right? Students and tourists, let's say, when they are going to go out, students, when they're going to go out of our country, yeah, they're going to stay in some other country. What will they
They are
carry
not
on?
normal residents.
Yeah, why? Because they are not providing everything. They're not doing all the activities. They are only probably going to do the consumption. They're not being productive. They're not being productive in the sense they're not adding on anything towards the GDP or per capita income, right? So that's why they are not considered to be having
Normal residents.
Yes, they're not considered to be having all their economic interests in that particular country. So we should tell them that. So raise a question, who makes his income? So look into this example again. Rental received by Ram, residing in Mumbai, from his property in New Zealand. Right? Where is Ram? Ram is in Mumbai. Okay, fine. And we are talking about the income that Ram is receiving from his property in New Zealand. So what will this be part of our national income? Will this be part of our national income?
Yes, ma'am.
And how will we account this?
Because Ram's income.
Ram's income.
These belong to normal residents of India.
Correct. As what will we account this? The item also has to be specified. As what
net factor income from abroad.
Factor income from abroad.
Yes,
factor income. The word factor income from abroad should be mentioned.
Yes,
even
yes,
net factor income is not correct. Even net
factor
income is right. Factor income from abroad, right?
Yes,
that's an inflow. That's an inflow, right? And because when we say net, then that will indicate the difference between factor income from abroad and factor income to abroad. FIFA minus.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So here we'll have to say factor income from abroad, and it has to be added. This component has to be added to the domestic income to arrive at the national income. So I would always tell the children, write the treatment, right? So whether it is included or not, sometimes again they will be confused, right? They would say this is added, ma'am, right? Or this is deducted, ma'am. So since it is deducted, they would say no, not included. I would say forget about added or deducted, right? That comes secondly. Write the treatment, right? Write the treatment, how it is treated, as what item, which method, as what item it is treated, right? That is what you should write. Fine. So here they will have to very clearly say, to arrive at the national income, this income that Ram is making will be the factor income from abroad, and to the domestic income it has to be added. That's a treatment. That's a treatment. So that makes up the complete answer out there. Then the second one, dividends paid by Amazon to the Chinese firm that's located in Chennai. Right?
That income goes to Chinese, so it will not be included.
This is why, yeah, that's why I said, write the treatment. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we should say, from the domestic income, this item should be deducted.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it is factor income to abroad, FITA. It is it is part of the NFIA. It is part of the net factor income from abroad. It is FITA, which is factor income to abroad. So from domestic income, this has to be reduced or deducted to arrive at the national income. So encourage children to write the treatment. Fine. Instead of just writing included, not included. Some of them they write true, false, included, not included, and they stop. No, that will not be enough because most of these will be for 2 marks or for 3 marks. So
Yes, ma'am.
basically, they will have to write. I even encourage the children to write what is national income. Write what is national income. Write the meaning of national income. What
Yes,
are they
ma'am.
asking you? They are asking you to write whether this income is part of the national income, isn't it? So write what is national income. There itself, the child will be reminded of, okay, this is what is going to make up the national income. So write the meaning of national income. Let them write that first. Then
Yes.
let them look into the question. Dividends paid by Amazon to Chinese for a firm located in Chennai, India. Right? Where is the firm located? In India, in Chennai. Right? And who is making this income? This income is made by Chinese people. So this does not belong to our normal resident. So this is the factor income made by Chinese, isn't it? So that
Yes.
this has to flow out of the country. So this has to be treated as factor income to abroad. So as part of the NFIA, this has to be deducted. This has to be deducted from the domestic income to arrive at the national income. All this they'll have to write, ma'am. All
Yes,
this if they write, then only they will get full 3 marks.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Simply if
Nice.
they're going to write true, false, included, excluded, then
Yes,
they
ma'am.
may go wrong also.
Yes, ma'am.
So encourage them to write the treatment. Right? So this is how probably they can answer, and by doing that, they will not be able to, they will not miss out anything. Yeah, right. So these are some areas where they go wrong. Domestic
Yes, ma'am.
territory, and then again normal resident. A few more I thought I will just discuss as common errors that children make. This I think second one I think I've just covered. Market price is always more
Yes,
than the
ma'am.
factor cost. Is it true or false? We just saw no,
No.
not always. It depends upon value of the NIT. They'll have to immediately know the NIT. So if NIT, there is very much a possibility of NIT being positive or negative or zero.
Zero.
So depending upon that, it changes.
Yes, ma'am.
Same way, this one also. Domestic income cannot be more than national income. Is it true? Domestic income cannot be more than national income. என்ன இதெல்லாம் மேம் இதுக்கு?
Because we are adding NFIA national income. So domestic
Rosalina.
income means NDPFC. National income means NNPFC. How we are,
Rosalina,
what is the
ma'am. Rosalina ma'am, what do you say? Ma'am, FIFA, FITA மறுபடியும் மறந்துட்டீங்க.
Tell me once again.
Sorry? It depends upon NFIA,
Tell
isn't
me,
it?
ma'am.
But you are
FIFA.
Yeah. So what is NFIA, ma'am? NFIA is nothing but FIFA
Net factor.
minus FITA. So there is very much a
From abroad,
chance.
at the same time, we have to make payment to.
Ma'am, you're not audible. கொஞ்சம் சத்தமா சொல்லுங்க.
That is, we have to receive the income from abroad, and the same way we have to make our payment also. So NIFA is equal to from NIFA to NIFA.
That's right. But my query is domestic income cannot be more than national income. Na சொல்றேன். That's actually false. Domestic income can be more than national income. How?
Yes.
Because we know that,
Data factor NIFA.
yeah, in case the FITA is going to be more than FIFA, what will happen? When the FIFA is going to be
at the time domestic income more than the yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Agulya.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So yeah. So when FIFA is going to be more than FITA, then the domestic income will be less than the national income,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
right? And then when FIFA is going to be less than the FITA,
Theta.
then in that case, the domestic income
Domestic income is
more
greater
than
than the national income. Thank you,
Yes.
ma'am. Now I have
Yes.
understood. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So then when the FIFA is going to be equal to the FITA, then
Domestic
the,
income is equal to national income.
that's it. That's it. So
Yes.
yeah, this is again, that's why I'm saying we'll have to ask them to be reminded of the concept.
Yes, ma'am.
போயிடுப்பா முதல்ல போ டொமஸ்டிக் இன்கம்னா என்னது, நேஷனல் இன்கம்னா என்னது, ரெண்டுத்துக்கும் என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ், அத
Yes,
பாரு, நீ அதை யோசிச்சா வந்துடும், உடனே வந்துடும். டொமஸ்டிக் இன்கம் நேஷனல் இன்கம் டிஃபரன்ஸ் NFIA, ஆமா NFIA என்ன, அதுவும் ஞாபகப்படுத்திக்கணும். அப்பதான் they will know, okay, FIFA minus FITA, அப்போ FIFA
Now only you have remind NFIA net factor income. You should add only factor. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
ஆமா,
Thank
ஆமா.
you. Thank you.
இல்ல மேம், டக்குன்னு நமக்கே அப்படி வருது பாத்தீங்களா,
Ah,
டக்குன்னு நமக்கே அப்படி தோணிடுறது இல்லையா. சோ இது வந்து பாக்கும்போது ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா இருக்க மாதிரி இருக்கும். டொமஸ்டிக் இன்கம் இல்ல நேஷனல் இன்கம்னா பெருசு, நம்மளும் அப்படி நினைச்சுட்டு இல்ல.
yes,
So
ma'am.
these are all tricky. Many children, even till the end, they get confused with this. பரீட்சை ஹாலுக்கு உள்ள போற வரைக்கும் கூட சில பசங்க வந்து மேம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டுட்டே இருப்பாங்க. நான் பதிலே சொல்ல மாட்டேன். நீ திருப்பியும் போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் மேம் மேம் இதுதான் மேம் கேட்டா நீங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட்க்கு போக சொல்றீங்க, அங்கதான் இருக்கு ஆன்சர், அங்க போ, திருப்பியும் நீ சொல்லு டொமஸ்டிக் இன்கம் என்ன. அப்புறம் அவங்களே ஆன்சர் சொல்லுவாங்க. எல்லாம் அந்த 3 ப்ரொசீஜர் சொல்லிட்டு கரெக்ட் மேம், நவ் ஐ நோ தி ஆன்சர், பாரு அதுதான் எழுதணும், இது 3 மார்க், இது நாட் 1 மார்க் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி கிண்டல் பண்ணுவேன். So that's how probably we'll have to get back to the basics, and probably we'll have to tell them how they'll have to reason out for the true and false, true or false queries. ஏன்னா வெறும் சில பசங்க வந்து மேம் நான் ட்ரூன்னு போட்டேன் மேம் 1 மார்க் கொடுங்க, போர்ட்லயே தரமாட்டான், நான் தரமாட்டேன், வெறும் ட்ரூ ஃபால்ஸ் யார் வேணா எழுதலாம், அதுக்கு மார்க்கே கிடையாது. கரெக்டான ரீசன் மேம், ஏதோ ஒரு ரீசன்லாம் இல்ல, யூ ஹேவ் டு ரைட் தி கரெக்ட் ரீசன், அப்பதான் கிடைக்கும் அப்படின்னு. நிஜமாவே அதான் மேம், நிஜமாவே வந்து ரொம்ப ஸ்டூடெண்ட் ஃப்ரெண்ட்லியாலாம் இருக்காது. இதெல்லாமே ஹாட் क्वेश्चंस தான் இல்லையா. சோ அப்படியே சட்டுன மார்க் எல்லாம் தர மாட்டாங்க, கொஞ்சம் கரெக்டான ரீசன் இருந்தாதான் கிடைக்கும், மார்க் கிடைக்கும். Right. Then this is another thing that I have noted. Children go wrong in even very simple concepts.
Yes.
Something like the third one paakringa illaya, value of furniture, value of the furniture bought by the school is included in domestic income calculation அப்படினு ஒரு சென்டென்ஸ். ட்ரூ ஆர் ஃபால்ஸா, ட்ரூ ஆர் ஃபால்ஸா, அவங்க ட்ரூ ஆர் ஃபால்ஸா சொல்லும்போது ரீசனோட சொல்லணும். என்ன சொல்லலாம் மேம் இதுக்கு?
It's a final product.
Absolutely. Final what product?
Furniture.
Final
Product for the
capital product. Final capital product, right? Value of the furniture bought by the school is included in the domestic income calculation as a final capital product. Yeah, because the school is not going to resell it. It cannot be an intermediate product, right? And furniture is not going to get used up. இப்போ chalk piece, duster எல்லாம் வருஷம் நமக்கு அப்படியே கொஞ்ச நாளைக்கு தான் chalk piece வரும், ஒரு வருஷம் கூட வராது duster எல்லாம் இல்லையா. So chalk piece and dusters, they are all intermediate consumption items, raw materials, intermediate consumption items. ஆனா இது வந்து capital, final capital good. அது அங்கதான் இருக்கும், பல வருஷங்களுக்கு அந்த பர்னிச்சர் அங்க இருக்கும் இல்லையா. சோ they'll have to reason out என்ன மெத்தட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லணும், அவங்க என்ன மெத்தட் சொல்லணும், எந்த இது என்ன ஐட்டம் அது வந்து. சோ என்ன மெத்தட், எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் மெத்தட் இல்லையா. Under the expenditure method, this particular item is treated as gross domestic fixed capital formation, right? Gross domestic fixed capital formation la idu varum. It has to be treated as an investment item or a capital accumulation done by the school, even as they provide services to the consumer households nu solli எழுதணும். So அந்த treatment எழுதணும், அந்த item எழுதணும், and they'll have to write about the method also. So இது மூணுமே எப்பவுமே ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்க சொல்லுங்க மேம். Method, yes, no, included, not included சொன்னா ஒரே ஒரு மார்க் தான் கிடைக்கும். என்ன மெத்தட், என்ன மெத்தட் கண்டிப்பா அவங்களுக்கு தெரியணும். இது வந்து இந்த GDKF வந்து it is there in எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் மெத்தட்னு அவங்க
expenditure
சொல்லணும்.
method.
சோ எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர் மெத்தட்னு அவங்க கண்டிப்பா சொல்லணும். இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் ஐட்டம் வெறும் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் ஐட்டம் சொல்லக்கூடாது. கேபிட்டல் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்,
Capital investment.
கேபிட்டல், அதனால ஃபைனல் கேபிட்டல் குட் சொல்லணும் அவங்க. சோ சொன்னாதான் ஃபுல் மார்க் கிடைக்கும். as part of GDKF it is included னு சொல்லணும். So
Yes,
that is
yes.
how we'll have to train them.
Yes, sir.
Then interest, அந்த இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட்ங்கற அந்த வார்த்தையை பார்த்தா உடனே இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இன்கம் மெத்தட்ன்றாங்க, right? But look at the term. It says interest paid by firm A to firm B. So firm A interest, okay, ரெண்டுமே production firms, right? அப்ப இது என்னதா இருக்க முடியும்? interest paid by firm A to firm B னா என்னதா இருக்க முடியும்? இது வருமா? இது வராதா? என்ன பண்ணுவோம் அத?
We included them because for the productive purpose.
இல்ல மேம், it is actually intermediate consumption தான், because we already included. இப்போ we'll have to think of it like this: interest paid by firm A to firm B. Let us assume that firm A is borrowing, right?
Borrowing.
From firm B, right? Trade credit னு எடுத்துக்கலாமே. Trade credit, they are not borrowing from outsiders, but ஒரு firmல இருந்து இன்னொரு firm borrow பண்றாங்க, right? So firm B வந்து நிறைய excess profit இருந்தா அந்த profitல இருந்து அவங்க loan கொடுக்க போறாங்க. லோனை விட்டுறலாம். we are talking about the interest, சரியா? So interest payment வந்து how will firm A be able to do it? From A's income இல்லையா? So A's income னு பாத்தீங்கன்னா அது வந்து அவங்களோட profit, right? So already under the income method அந்த profit நம்ம include பண்ணியாச்சு. அப்ப திருப்பி அந்த interest add பண்ண கூடாது. This is an inter-firm transaction. This is an inter-firm transaction and it is a transfer. Already this interest payment is included as part of the profit that is made by firm A. Yeah. So மறுபடியும் அது கொண்டு போய் நம்ம add பண்ணா என்ன ஆயிடுது? It will become a double counting, right?
Yes.
So it is not to be treated. It will be a transfer from profit. It is paid, so it is just a money transfer. So this will not be accounted again. அப்படின்னு சொல்லணும். இப்ப நம்ம வந்து ப்ராஃபிட் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, கார்ப்பரேட் டாக்ஸ் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் டிவிடெண்ட்ஸ் கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, நம்ம எதை எடுத்துப்போம் கால்குலேஷனுக்கு?
We can take profit only because corporate tax, dividend, component of profit we should not take.
சூப்பர். அதே லாஜிக் தான் மேம் இங்கேயும், சேம் லாஜிக். So we'll have to think a little more wherein the interest payment out of what they are paying யோசிச்சு பார்க்கணும். Interest
Yes,
paid by firm A to firm B, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So out of their profit only they are making it, and we have already accounted for their profit.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
அப்ப இந்த we should not add this entry. இந்த amount add பண்ணவும் கூடாது. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Right. So since it is between the firms, we will not add it.
Yes,
Right?
ma'am.
If it
Between
is
the
going to
firm.
be by the firm to the bank, then there is a factor payment.
Oh, by the bank means factor payment. Between the firm means we should.
Ama by the firm to the bank. If it is by the firm to the bank, then it is, yes, that has to be included as a factor payment. But inter firm transaction, normally we don't include that, right? And the condition irukku ma'am anga bookle irukku.
Yes, ma'am.
Textbook for the ரொம்ப loaded இருக்கு. சில சமயம் வந்து சிலது ரிப்பீட் ஆயிட்டே இருக்கும், சில கான்செப்ட்ஸ் ரிப்பீட் பண்ணாம விட்டுருப்பாங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். இது இருக்கு கண்டிப்பா.
Yes, ma'am. Now I have clearly understood. புரிஞ்சு ma'am.
Right, fine. Yeah, so this is with the national income accounting. நீங்க எல்லாம் இப்போ பசங்களுக்கு வந்து இந்த கான்செப்ட்ஸ் டீச் பண்ணும்போது ரோஸ்லி மேம் எங்கெல்லாம் இன்னும் தப்பு பண்றாங்க மேம்? நான் அப்சர்வ் பண்ண வரைக்கும் these are the areas where they are going wrong, which requires correction. திரும்பி
Especially in the net exports, they will do that is a problem.
Okay, net
If
exports.
they are given the net exports and the exports and imports,
Okay,
all together they are doing.
okay. So okay, value
And
added method
intermediate,
சொல்றீங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன் இல்லையா?
In the
You're talking about value added method. value added method la
expenditure method.
expenditure method.
method.
Okay, fine.
When we
Now
are
that you
coming to exports la,
okay, okay. இப்போ நீங்க சொன்ன
that time what
actually,
usually they will do.
yeah, yes ma'am.
Even exports and imports will be given, they will add all the imports எல்லாம் minus பண்ணிடுறாங்க, exports, net exports, because it's an entire term now. It
Okay,
includes
right.
exports as well as the imports together. At that
Okay.
time, what they will do? Again, they are all doing the same way
Right.
intermediate purchase,
Okay,
purchase of raw material,
right. Yeah,
and they do not know the exports as well as the imports.
right, right. Now, one more
The
thing I have
product-
observed,
Order.
what I have observed is under the value added method, right, when they are given sales, then they'll have to understand that the sales will include everything. The sales will include the domestic sales, and then it will include the sales to various categories. When we say domestic sales, then that includes everything. It can be sale to the consumers, and then it can be the sale to the other firms, and then it can be sale to the government, and then of course the next component, it would be the exports, right? So domestic sale, the further components can be understood as sale to consumer, sale to firm, sale to the government. Plus, of course, they'll have to understand there is this exports, right? And in a country like ours, we have a huge production taking place for self-consumption. Yeah, so sales matrame eduthuka mudiyadhu. The value of the output, we'll have to understand that the value of the output, in many cases, it is not only going to be sale, right? It is not only going to be sale, it can be the production for self-consumption.
Yes, ma'am. We should add.
Yes, yes. Production for self-consumption. So,
Consumption.
yes. So that is also some area where they go wrong. Right? They don't know whether to add exports or not, where to add exports, when to add exports. All this is a big confusion. And as ma'am was telling, intermediate consumption kuda, they add up machinery, purchase of machinery add panniduvanga.
Because that is capital. That is capital. Am I correct?
Yeah, so since it is capital, adu vandu income method la da varum. We'll have to tell them that. Inga vandu the intermediate consumption expenditure, it is only the expenditure on the non-factor inputs. Non-factor inputs la thirupi nama sollitona the
expenditure on non-factor inputs. Expenditure.
ஆமா, அதுதான் factor income method இருக்கேப்பா. factor income எல்லாம் சேர்த்து தானே உனக்கு வந்து land labor capital organization, the 4 factors ஓட income ஓட சேர்த்து தான் உனக்கு வந்து factor income method இருக்குல்ல. அப்ப அந்த மெத்தட எதுக்கு இங்க கொண்டு வரேன்னு கேட்கணும் நம்ம. சரியா? Right? So capitalங்கிறதுனால it goes there. Right? Purchase of machinery la inga varadu. இந்த machinery பத்தி எந்த சமாச்சாரமும் இங்க வராது. இங்க வந்து only non-factor inputs. So non-factor inputs nu nama solliyachina, again we'll have to clearly tell them that will involve probably the raw materials, adukapprama the money that is spent on electricity, then transport, adellame sollalam. So these are all the other inputs, non-factor inputs required for production. So purchase of all these items would be considered as intermediate consumption expenditure appdi sollalam. Then next what we'll have to tell them is, okay, நம்ம ஊர்ல இப்ப raw material கிடைக்கலன்னா என்ன பண்றது? Import பண்ணணும் இல்லையா? So intermediate consumption expenditure அப்படின்னு சொல்லியாச்சுன்னா எல்லாமே வந்துரும் அது. So comprehensive word. அதுக்குள்ள நீ பார்த்தனா என்ன இருக்கும்? Domestic purchases, domestic purchase of raw materials வரும், right? அது இல்ல அப்படின்னாக்க then இங்க கிடைக்கல அப்படின்னா it is going to be imported, right? So domestic purchases plus imports, that will both put together, it will make up intermediate consumption. இங்க கூட தப்பு பண்றாங்க. இங்க கூட வந்து they normally get confused. Oh, what should I do? Whether I should add this, whether I should treat this, not treat this, and ஒரு confusion of children have that, right?
Okay. And also, ma'am, one doubt. profit tax. They have given two entry, profit tax.
Right. Profit tax na enna ma'am? Corporate tax da.
Oh, yes, ma'am. So,
இல்லையா? Right?
Yes.
சில சமயம் சில இடங்கள்ல வந்து ப்ராஃபிட் ஆஃப்டர் டாக்ஸ் அப்படின்னு கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Profit after tax. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
ப்ராஃபிட் அதுக்கு தான் மேம் நான் அந்த ஆர்டரே சொல்லிடுவேன். முதல்ல
Yes,
வந்து imagine you are an entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur, what will be your income? The fourth income, the residual income, profit அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. கரெக்ட்? ஆமா, கரெக்ட். அப்ப நீ ப்ராஃபிட் வந்தா முதல்ல நீ என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா first mandatory payment that is supposed to make is a tax, the corporate tax. So முதல்ல corporate tax. வர profit வந்து tax முதல்ல கட்டிடணும். கரெக்ட்டா? அதுக்கப்புறம் excess profit, then you're going to be happy with dividends. Yes. Dividends for the shareholders, as ma'am is saying.
Yes.
Then still if you have some more income as profit,
You have to keep with yourself.
Retained earning. Right? Other one you're going to save it up. Corporate savings nu kuda adha solluvom illa. Savings வந்து லாஸ்ட் தானே பண்ணுவேப்பா. முதல்ல கட்டிடுவேன், அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்து ஷேர் ஹோல்டர்ஸ் வந்து சந்தோஷமா அவங்களுக்கு டிவிடெண்ட்ஸ் கொடுத்துருவேன். Then the undivided profit or the retained earning you will keep it aside. இல்லையா? இந்த ஆர்டர் நம்ம திருப்பி சொல்லிட்டோம்னா அங்க தப்பே பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. சோ கார்ப்பரேட் டாக்ஸ் கட்டியாச்சுன்னா பாக்கி உள்ளது என்னது? ப்ராஃபிட் ஆஃப்டர் டாக்ஸ் தானே.
Yes,
so whatever profit you have after tax is these two components. Correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Aladha.
And also the social security contribution by the employees. That also my children they are doing.
Correct. Ama ma'am. Social security contribution. Yeah, yes ma'am.
We have to always say employer because employees already we are, that is in our salary, it is included in that way.
That's right. Yeah.
The new
so that will become a transfer.
What we are going to receive is the employer.
Yes. Absolutely.
Usually I say myself, ma'am. Because I was working in the residential school now.
Okay.
Okay, that is free accommodation, free food, and free education for my children.
Yes,
okay.
So in the compensation of employee, first of all, I'll say I am receiving salary. Then salary in kind, that is free food. Free food there are given. Free education for me, for my children, and free accommodation. So it will be coming under the second part. What is the new income I am going to get? That is employee. I am the employee. My contribution at least already it is included in my salary. What is the new income I am going to get? That is the employer's part of the PM.
Right. Nowadays they don't give the breakup. முன்னாடிலாம் breakup லாம் கொடுத்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க. இப்போலாம் வந்து நிறைய ஃபைனல் காம்பனன்ட்ஸ் கூட கொடுத்துட்டு இருந்தாங்க மேம். இனிஷியலி நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா பழைய क्वेश्चन பேப்பர்ல எல்லாம் இருக்கும் அதுல subsidized food from the canteen, இல்லட்டா food coupons given to the workers, இல்லட்டா free health services provided to the workers அப்படிலாம் போட்டுருக்கும். அதெல்லாம் நம்ம ஆட் பண்ணணும். ஏன்னா that will be payment in kind, rent free accommodation அப்படின்லாம் போட்டுருக்கும். So அது வந்து part of the compensation ஆட் பண்ணணும். So அந்த மாதிரி they are not giving it nowadays like that. அப்படியே சிம்பிளா wage and salary ன்னு கொடுத்துடுறாங்க. The only component we'll have to look in for is the social security benefit if it is there. Otherwise compensation கொடுத்தாச்சுன்னா அப்படியே ஃபுல்லா எடுத்துக்கலாம். So நிறைய இப்போ வேற ஏரியாஸ்ல they have started testing. இத கொஞ்சம் கம்மி பண்ணிட்டாங்க. Actually 2 years back வந்து சம்மே இல்ல. ஒரு வாட்டி போர்டு எக்ஸாம்ல நேஷனல் இன்கம் அக்கவுண்ட்ல ஒரு சம் கூட இல்ல.
Then what are the precautionary measures taken? That type of question they asked.
Okay. Right. Fine. So this is multiplier and marginal propensity to consume. So this is another area where they always go wrong.
Yes.
They don't know how to explain this multiplier and marginal propensity to consume. So this is one another area. See, okay. Yeah, I was just explaining this, I suppose. Right. Multiplier pakalama ma'am. I think one of you had asked multiplier already.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Right. So this one, investment multiplier, if you take it up, it is normally the change in the national income that arises due to change in the investment. So we'll always have to tell them it is an autonomous investment that the government undertakes. So when the government is going to undertake one-time investment, right? Let's say for some public expenditures, for some bridge building or something, automatically what is going to happen? That is going to generate employment opportunities and that is going to generate more income. So that more income, when people get income, automatically they're going to spend it on consumption.
Yes.
Right? So how that consumption expenditure is going to multiply many more times into many more rounds of income is what is the concept. Yeah. So the first basic detail that they'll have to understand is the K is delta Y by delta I. Yeah. Then as I was just pointing out, we'll have to tell them that it is a one-time investment undertaken by the government that will increase the income and the rest of the things many more times. Yeah. So let's assume that one-time investment is 1,000, right? Now this one-time investment, when it is going to be 1,000, that will immediately cause a change in the income. That will immediately cause a change in the income, let us say by the same 1,000. So we assume that the population, as they receive their income, they're going to spend it on consumption.
Yes.
So by how much? By how much? Again, we'll have to make a small assumption about the propensity to consume. If we understand that the propensity to consume is going to be half, then that means half of this income is going to be
half of
spent
the
on,
salary.
yeah, half of the salary is going to be spent on the consumption. And
Consumption and
naturally the other half will be
saving.
saved up.
Saving.
Yeah. So this 500 will become the,
Again invest.
yeah, because this will become the second round income. As taking up the logic that one person's expenditure is
One
another
person's
person's income.
expenditure will become the other person's income.
Presents income.
Yes. And out of this, once more, half of it is going to be consumed and the other half is going to be saved up. Then this 250, which is the change in the consumption, becomes the third round of income. And once more, half of that is going to be consumed and the other half is going to be saved up. So this goes on. This goes on. We need not actually go on till the end. We need to tell them how to summarize this data, right? So we already have taught probably the children that K can be understood as delta Y by delta I, right? Also, yet another relationship that we'll have to tell them is about the MPC and K, right? So this basic detail we'll have to tell them from the known to the unknown, right?
Yes.
So income will be C plus I, and simply we can introduce change in that concept. So as income changes, that will bring about a change in the consumption and change in the investment. So this entire equation of delta Y is equal to delta C plus delta I. If we are going to divide it by delta Y, then we arrive at delta Y by delta Y is equal to delta C by delta Y plus delta I by delta Y. So ultimately this side will become 1, and this change in C by change in Y is nothing but marginal propensity to consume. See, this is change in the consumption due to change in income, isn't it? So that is going to be MPC plus this one will be 1 by K. Yeah. See, this is change in I by change in Y. So this concept is going to be 1 by K. Right? Earlier, we would have told them K can be expressed as delta Y by delta I.
Delta I.
So when it is going to be the reverse, delta I by delta Y, it can be expressed as 1 by K. So if you take this K to the other side, K can be expressed as 1 by 1 minus MPC. Or in other words, K can also be expressed as
1 by MBS.
Yes, 1 by MPS. So we'll have to remind them of this one and get back to this. So we have assumed MPC as 0.5 here. So that means we can very well calculate K. So K will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
1 divided by 1 minus 0.2, which will be 2.
Yes, ma'am.
And a change in I we already know. So that is 1000. So naturally, the change in Y can be very easily calculated. And that would be 2 into 1000, 2000. So they can sum it up and then they can complete the table as 2000. So at the end, half of that will be spent on consumption and the other half will be saved up. Right? So we'll have to equate this. See, this change in the investment is still in the form of savings, isn't it? This 1000 is equal
Yes,
to
ma'am.
6000. It's still there. It has not gone anywhere. It's still there. Right? But in between, it has created so many more rounds of income. This capital formation that happened in the country is still there. But in between, it has generated so many more rounds of additional income. So this process can be explained with a diagram and with a table also.